is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's edition of Mocha Moments. I see many of you are on here, but you haven't checked in yet. Well, let me say good evening, and thanks for checking in to Jackie and Joyce and Brittany and Cassandra. I know there's others of you out there. Y'all know what to do. Those of you that are part of the Mocha crew, don't forget to sign in by throwing up a greeting in the comments, and don't forget to put that hashtag Mocha Crew. Yeah. Thank you for checking in. Thank you so much, Tara Kazam and Vonda and Player Hater and Tracy, Lucy. Thank you all already for getting in here tonight, and we're going to wait for a few more moments rather to allow some other people to get on with us on today. Everything was wonderful today, and I really have been having a wonderful day, and I hope that you all have been having a wonderful day today as well. I'm looking for my Mocha crew, still trying to give you time to get logged on here. Hopefully everybody has their notifications signed on. Thank you for joining us, Deacon Ron. Thank you for slamming that hashtag Mocha Crew. Those of you that are joining for the very first time, if you've never been on our Mocha Moments, you might want to know what this is all about. Well, this is just a platform wherein I share practical wisdom for daily living. If you're on for the very first time, know that I'm your host, Dr. Tony D. Cobbins, and I am a life coach. I am a consultant. I am a trainer, and I'm a person that's here just trying to add value to the lives of other people. And as a matter of fact, those that are a part of the Mocha Crew community, we know that that's what we do as a people, as a community. We're just here to try to add value to other people. Let me pause for the calls and acknowledge the one and the only, my girl, love of my life. Lady Ann has popped on with us, and she threw up that hashtag Mocha Crew. Again, Tisha, thank you for joining us tonight. Take the time, if you will, to share this with someone. You might want to text them even as we speak, and let them know that we're currently streaming live, and we won't be on here very long tonight. My wife tells me I shouldn't say that, because every time I say we won't be on here very long, I wound up being on here longer than expected. I see some of you are making comments with regards to Youth Sunday at Canaan Worship Center on today. And yes, we had an amazing Youth Sunday today. Our children were great. Our young people were fantastic. And our guest minister, Minister Tyler Nash, delivered a wonderful, powerful message. I really appreciated the ministry that took place in the house on today. So yeah, I'm with you all. Had an amazing day this Sunday, Youth Day at Canaan Worship Center. Let me remind some of you, as you're coming on, there's just one requirement, well, a few requirements that I have for those of you that are checking in. And first of all, I ask that you would make a comment, let me know that you're with me, just greet me and say hello or whatever, or say hello to the entire Mocha community. And if you are checking in for the very first time, let me know that you are checking in for the very first time, and tell me where you're viewing Mocha Moments from. South Kansas City, North Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, wherever you may be. You could be in another state, in another city. We just like to know who we're talking to. And I love it when people will come on and put in a comment. I absolutely appreciate it, because I love interacting with our people today. Frank Hubbard, great to have you on tonight. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you. Yeah, and thank you for the compliment on our youth services today. I'm telling you, it was absolutely amazing. Liddell T., thanks for joining us tonight. I'm going to wait just a few more minutes and give people time to get logged on and to throw up their greeting. If you plan to remain a part of our Mocha community, our Mocha crew, I want you to throw up the hashtag Mocha crew. Just throw up hashtag Mocha crew if you're with us, if you're committed to hanging with us and being a part of this wonderful community. We're a people, again, we just want to add value to other people. And I often think about it. What if the majority of the people in our world, in our society, had this kind of conviction, this mission in life, and that is just to add value to the lives of other people? How wonderful it would be when we do that. You all are still commenting on the youth service. Awesome youth service. Everything was beautiful. Yes, I agree. Jackie says, I'm still on fire. That's a good thing. I love that. Love that when you can receive something in the worship experience and the fire continues to burn late into the evening. That says something absolutely amazing. And again, I can't express my appreciation to Minister Tyler Nash enough. He did an amazing job. Katina, good evening. Hello to you. Don't forget to share this with somebody else. I know it'll be a blessing to whomever you share this with. Well, let's get right into our topic for tonight. There's some things that I often share, things that come across my mind, things that I often sit and contemplate. And I know that many of the things that come across my mind, or some of the experiences that I have, you can relate to, because I'm quite sure I'm not the only one that has had such experiences, and I'm not the only one that feels the way I feel about certain things. But tonight, I want to talk about awkward moments. You know, There are times when you just experience awkward moments when trying to engage people or communicating uh, with people. Years ago, I had someone approach me who was wanting me to hear them sing. Now, anybody that knows me, they know um, I've worked in the music field. Music has been a part of my life, all of my life. And some people respect my musical abilities. As a matter of fact, I used to be responsible for training singers, and I was my dad's minister of music at the Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church when I was coming along. So I've trained a lot of singers, a lot of voices. I've worked with a lot of voices. I've worked with a lot of musicians, and people just have somewhat, those that know me, they have somewhat of respect for my musical abilities. Well, nevertheless, someone had come to me and they wanted me to hear them sing. So I accommodated them, and I agreed to listen to them sing. Um, when they were done singing, they waited for my response. Now, let me be very, very honest here. To me, their singing was terrible. I'm just being honest. I'm just being true. It was terrible. But I didn't have the heart to tell them that their singing was terrible. It was such an awkward moment. And I'm sitting there thinking, what do I do? How do I respond? I know that there's someone out there other than myself that's been placed in this type of situation. And so the question comes to mind, and I'm throwing this out here for discussion. What do you say when you really don't know what to say? And how do you say what needs to be said without crushing the feelings of other people? Now, I know there's some people who absolutely don't care. It doesn't matter to them whether they crush the feelings of others or not. That's funny, Tisha. Tisha says, so you didn't do a Simon Cowell, did you? No, I didn't do a Simon Cowell. But it was a very, very, very awkward moment for me. I just did not have the heart to tell that individual that their singing was terrible. It wasn't just off pitch, it was totally off key. If I were to share with you, if I was to say what key they were singing in, I would probably have to say between the key of X and Z. Well, anybody that knows anything about music, you would know that there is no key between X and Z because there's no key of X or a key of Z. I've got a musician here, Frank, who is a very, very, very accomplished musician. He said I would tell them they need reps, they need practice. That is funny, Frank. Now, Frank, you and I both know that it's not that simple and it's not that easily resolved. But again, that's coming from an accomplished musician. Tisha says, if I don't verbalize how I feel, my face will say it all. That's another thing that makes the moment so awkward because some of us, we're not good at hiding our expressions. We are so transparent, even with our facial expressions, that sometimes our face says much more than our words can ever say. Yeah. Brittany, I like this. Well, let me go to Shell first. She says, sounds like they should have known better for themselves. No, that is absolutely not the case in a lot of cases. Most people not most people, but some people that really cannot sing. They can't sing and they don't know they can't sing. You know, that's the truth. Brittany says that part, Tisha. I got to teach my face to quiet down. uh, uh, Toya asked the question, what if there's nothing to work with? Y'all are popping in here right now. Yeah. Terry Kazam says, I need to do better with my face. I think all of us got that facial problem. Frank comes back and said, facial expressions. I'm guilty of that. Vonda says, I had that experience last week engaging with a new hire, and I just stopped and said, am I on the game show Punk'd? Oh, this is hilarious. Y'all are really making me laugh on a Sunday night. What a wonderful day to end the Sunday. Tisha says, I may just look at them crazy in silence and walk off. Now, that is cold, Tisha. That is so very, very cold. So y'all have experienced these awkward moments, and I'm telling you, it's really hard to navigate through those situations. Lucy says, that's the time I've said nothing. And like someone said, my face would have said it all. Yeah. It happens. It's so awkward. Frank, you are coming up with some stuff left and right. He says, I blame American Idol. I have to share his sentiments on that one, because nowadays it seems like everybody thinks they can be a star. And the reality is sometimes people just need, they need some honesty and forthrightness. But how do you do that? How do you say what needs to be said without crushing the feelings of another individual? And I'm just that person. I'm sensitive to the feelings of other people. I really am. And the last thing that I want to do at any time is hurt anyone's feelings. Now, some of you might say, well, you got to be tactful. You got to be strategic with how you communicate certain things. And that's true. But once again, the question still comes up. How do you do that? What's the best way of doing that? Now, again, I think that there are at least 4 responses that can take place when you're in that awkward moment. Whenever you encounter an awkward moment, such as the one that I just described. Number 1, you can compliment a person. If you compliment a person, now I'm not talking about a person that is really not deserving of a compliment. And I'm gonna have to kind of hash this out, flesh it out a little bit. But anytime a person is looking for some kind of response to you with regards to something that they presented to you or said to you, something to that nature. I'm not just talking about people that are presenting or proposing terrible things to you, but I'm just giving you some responses that you can give in general. This is what generally takes place anytime you engaging someone who is looking for a response from you with regards to something that they may have said or done. First, you can compliment if that's appropriate to compliment. And to compliment just simply means to make an admiring remark, to tell them that you admire or what they've done or what they're doing or said is wonderful. You think that it's a wonderful thing. That's a compliment. You always have something positive to say to an individual when you compliment them. Then secondly, you can just make a comment. And a comment is nothing more than an observation or remark expressing your opinion or even now your attitude towards something. Sometimes it's not necessary to compliment. You just need to make a comment, make an observation. Or you can do as some of us do in our minds and in our heads, but you can do this verbally. You can criticize a person. And the word criticize simply means to find fault. to point out a person's fault. When you're criticizing an individual, their primary objective is to point out their faults, plain and simple. Or you can be that person that critiques another individual. And that means to examine that individual, what they've said, what they've done, to examine it critically, to review what they've said, what they've done critically, not to be critical, but you can give serious thought to what they've said or done and review it with them. You know, now there's a thin line between criticizing and critiquing, and some people don't really know the difference. I think I explained this the other night. I just mentioned how criticizing is done when you're literally finding fault with what a person has said or done, and you've got to be real careful when walking that thin line between criticizing and critiquing, because people will get in their feelings very quickly when you start criticizing them, because in their minds, the only thing that they're hearing is that what they've said and what they've done is absolutely worthless or no good. But when you critique a person, you can review what has been said or done, and even critique them by raising questions and ask them questions such as, hey, have you ever thought about doing it this way? Or how much better do you think it would be if you tried this? Or do you think, or have you ever thought that it might be easier if you did this, that, or the other? You're just making an observation, reviewing what they've done, and maybe helping them to see something that they didn't see themselves before. Most people, if they're mature enough, they will accept and appreciate a critique. I don't think anybody appreciates criticism, because, a lot of times with criticism, there's a tone that comes with it, and the tone is not always positive. And again, with a person criticizing another individual, they give no consideration to that person's thoughts. So what do you do? How do you navigate through that awkward moment? I don't know about anybody else, but I find a way to be somewhat vague with my comments. I'll make a comment, and it might not even be a comment. Sometimes it's just a how do I want to say it? An expression where no sentences or phrases are used, but the person receives a response that is so neutral that they really can't take it either way. I just saw this. Tracy said, I would have excused myself before they got done. Oh, y'all, wow. Wow. Sometimes you can't always do that. That can be almost worse than being criticized. Just to have somebody just walk away from you without saying anything, I mean, that could be a pretty hard pill to swallow. Tell them I love your energy and your commitment to whatever they did. Okay, yeah, that's a comment that is probably appropriate. That's interesting. I was saying just a second ago that sometimes I may not use sentences or paragraphs to send an expression, but I might use not one letter, but one word responds to what they did. Sometimes they just go, okay, okay. They really don't know what okay means. And believe you me, I've had that response when people were very, very good. Okay. How many of you have ever done that before, where you just kind of be very vague in responding? Cortina asks, what about positive criticism? You know, some people could view that phrase as a oxymoron, positive criticism, because in most cases, criticism often comes from a negative perspective. So you're saying be positive while you're being negative? I mean, I see where you're coming from. Trust me. I totally understand where you're coming from, but just considering how people think. Now, some people might label it as constructive criticism. Okay, that's a thought. Constructive criticism. But still, with that word criticism, a lot of people, that word just doesn't go over well with some people. I would rather be critiqued rather than criticized. Toya said, Lord, bridle my tongue and give me the words. Yeah. It takes the Spirit of God at times, if you allow me to say that. It takes the Spirit of God at times to give us the wisdom with how to respond. And I know each situation varies from one person to the next. You got to consider who you're dealing with, who you're responding to. You got to know something about their personality, their level of sensitivity. You got to know for sure whether or not they're really open to receive whatever response that you have. But let me suggest this, if you will. I strongly suggest that you be very, very gentle. If you're going to respond, be as gentle as you possibly can, so that you won't crush the individual. Because once people feel like you've crushed them, it'll be hard for them to trust you in the future. Lucy refers to doing things lovingly. Yeah, you should do them lovingly. And how do you do things lovingly is when you give careful consideration to the feelings of the person that you're communicating your feelings with. Tisha, I had to put this up because she said I'd be looking like this. Oh, okay. There goes those faces again. Jackie, I don't even know if that's a good out right there. Ask them to ask somebody else for their opinion. Well, I can't get away with that, especially if someone is considering me to be an expert in a certain field, such as music or whatever. And this doesn't just have to apply. It doesn't just apply to music or singing or anything of that nature. It could be anything. Okay, for instance, a lot of you women that are on here tonight, you know, women have a tendency to ask one another, girl, how you think this looks on me? Okay, I know the conversation is about to go in another direction right now. And how many of you have looked at your friend or your family member saying in your mind, you look a hot mess? I'm keeping it real. How many of you have said that in your mind, but yet you didn't have the heart to tell them that? you know? Why? Because you didn't want to crush their feelings, especially if they come to you in a way wherein they just know they look good in what they have on. And you're thinking in your mind, right now, you look like a hot mess. You can't just say, well, go ask somebody else. Vonda says sometimes it's hard to receive feedback from people because in my mind, I'm thinking they are probably not being truthful, or they are vague with comments. You know, I think it's more considerate to be vague rather than to be harsh. Because if you're vague, people can only assume the meaning behind your vagueness. But when you are harsh, you remove all doubt. You tell people straight up what's on your mind. And that can be a destructive type thing, in that it can destroy someone else. It can crush their feelings, because some things that roll around in your head shouldn't necessarily come out of your mouth. Denise, I think you said it best. Sometimes it is best to say nothing. Now, again, if they're expecting a response from you, once again, that may not be altogether possible, because they may hound you. Well, okay, what? What are you saying about it? Aren't you going to tell me? I just asked you, what do you think about this? How do I sound? How do I look? That's awkward. Joy says, just tell them the truth. Your gift. Now she's talking to me right here. You tell me all the time. Well, Joyce, see, here's the difference. I know you. I know your personality. I know you are well aware of what your gifts are. And one of your biggest gifts is your ability to make people laugh, to bring joy and lightheartedness to the room, levity to the room, because that's your gifting. And so I can say certain things to you, and you know, most of the time when we're going back and forth with that kind of thing, we're just having fun in the first place. But some people who are absolutely serious with regards to thinking that they are capable of doing certain things, especially when it get back to the singing thing, it's hard to just tell them that that's not your gift. Now, for years, like I said, I was minister of music at my dad's church. I had trained a lot of voices, and there were people who truly believed that they were lead singers. They thought of I buffered for a second there. When I would hear them and had to truly and fairly evaluate their giftedness or lack thereof, sometimes I would have to tell them, well, we're going to have to see if we can work on some things. I didn't tell them no. I didn't just crush their spirit by telling them that no, you could never sing lead. I say, how about us working on some things and see if we can get you to that point? And then I start to tell them, because it's not as easy as it looks standing up here. And I don't want people to be saying things about you, because then I would be responsible for that. I'm trying to show them the best way that I can, in the most loving way, that I'm here to protect you. I don't ever want to embarrass you. So I wouldn't dare put you up in front of the public, in front of a packed audience, knowing that you're not capable, you're not gifted enough to sing solo, you know, um, and that you would more so run the risk of, for lack of a better term, embarrassing yourself. I was very protective of my choir members like that. Frank says the truth hurts sometimes, but if you mean well, they may take it a little better. It depends on the character. I agree. I agree. I absolutely agree. Now, I will say this. While I'm very strategic and tactful with the average person, when it comes to my family members, I am brutally honest. Yes, I am. I'll tell a family member in a minute, you cannot sing. So please don't try. Don't embarrass the family like that. No, don't dare. Don't you do it. That is not your gift. Stay in your lane. And then I'll think of something that they do well. You know, I'll say something like, "Oh, but you're a good driver. You're an excellent driver. You know, you could drive me anywhere, but just please don't try to sing for me. Not in public." Now does that make sense? That's when you can be brutally honest, when you have that kind of relationship with a person, especially if they're asking you to be brutally honest. But if you know you don't have that kind of relationship with a person, even though they ask you to be brutally honest, for me, I'd be somewhat careful about that. Yeah, if you have that relationship, it helps that person receiving your feedback. Yeah, if you have a relationship, that's the big thing right there. Tisha says, I also think it depends on said person. Some people aren't as sensitive. You can tell them how it is. Now, if you know the person gets in their feelings, tread with caution. That is sage advice right there. That is good advice. That is excellent advice, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Toya says, I'm going to tell you the truth, especially if we're going somewhere together. Now we're getting into that clothing thing, right? Now we're really getting into that clothing thing. Y'all starting to put it up there now. Yeah, it's tough. It is awkward. And you really have to tread lightly. I would just say, if anything, be mindful. We have to be mindful. We have to be very aware of a person's level of sensitivity. And the last thing you want to do, I've been saying this over and over and over again, the last thing you want to do is say something that is crushing to them. Brother Jay, you say here, maybe that's not the right song for them. How about this? Maybe any. Now, I'll say it again. I'm brutally honest with my family because I don't want my family embarrassing me or the rest of the family. There you go, Frank. Don't embarrass the family. That's right. That's right. Uh, Tracy, wonderful advice. Keep shower singing. Okay. Uh, when it comes to clothing, I'll be brutally honest with my family. You're not wearing that. Are you for real? You going outside with that on? Oh, come on now. Uh-uh. What are you doing out in public looking like that? Now, I'll do that with family, but not with people in general. Yeah. You know, um, but the last thing you should do, I think the last thing you should do is lie to a person. That proves to hurt them more than it helps them. Don't ever get in the habit of lying to people. If something is bad, try to find a tactful way to be vague enough about your response or with your response to wherein you don't crush that individual. But whatever you do, don't lie. It's been said if you can't say anything good, say nothing at all. You know, I've been asked about a number of things. People will pull up and in a vehicle and say, "Hey, what you think about my car?" If I really am not all that about the car, I might say, interesting. Interesting. What does that mean? It's interesting. I'm not lying to him because it's got my attention. And I'm saying interesting while I'm looking over the vehicle, you know? But in my mind, while I'm saying it's interesting, um, I might be saying, well, if I had this vehicle, I would change that. I would change that. I would do this. I would do that. You know, interesting. Jay says, yeah, people have styles that fit their personalities. So I try to see it from their perspective. Yeah, that's where interesting comes in as well. Well, if you like it, I have to love it for you. Jay says, interesting says it all. Yeah. It says enough without being critical or insulting. Instead of criticizing, I'm just making a comment. I'm making my observation. That's just me. And I see that all of you, most all of you on here have expressed that you've had those kind of situations where you just didn't know what to say and you really didn't know how to wiggle out of that situation. Well, why did I bring all of this up? Because in life, we encounter those situations. Leaders and lay people alike. We often encounter certain situations. And you know what? It really becomes awkward for me when a total stranger asks me my opinion of something. I've had that happen as I was shopping for something or whatever. People have turned and asked me, "What do you think about this?" Oh my gosh! I said, "Oh, well, okay. I can see where you're going with it, and if they would allow me to, I may make some suggestions, with regards to, hey, what about this? How does this look to you? Have you ever thought about going this way? And sometimes it works out perfectly where the individual says something like, wow, yeah, you know what? I never thought about doing it that way. I never thought about putting this with that. But man, thank you so much. That kind of thing. So it's the way you do it. I don't just look at it and say, I would never put on that. That's hideous. No, got to be tactful, got to be strategic. Awkward moments, we have them all the time. We have them all the time. But I hope that after tonight's discussion that you will give careful consideration to your responses to people in those awkward moments. I think it's very important that you place yourself in that individual's shoes. Someone suggested that earlier. I think it was Brother Jay, that you try to see things from the perspective of other people. Um, and that will make all the difference in the world. As long as you do that and you're sincere when you do that, I think you will always keep that other individual's feelings in mind. You can remain honest, but even if you must be somewhat of evasive, or at least be vague in your responses so as not to try to crush the individual. So I think with some of y'all gonna think he done told his secret. So if you come up to me and ask me about something, um, and I say, "Oh, okay, interesting," that's what it's gonna be. And if you keep pressing, I'm gonna say something like, "Go ask Brother Jay Thomas." But you know what? I just thought about something. I really just thought about something. This is so serious when I say this. There are times that I've said to people, I might not be the right person to ask because that's not my area of expertise. I know I may start up a whole nother conversation here, and I'm not intending to, but that's one of the responses that I have given. And I've been so sincere when I've given that response. I might not be the right person to ask. That's not my area of expertise. Or I can be a little funny with stuff like that according to other people's opinions. So I might not be the best person to ask. How about that? Now, I think that's a good one right there. Lucy, you say smart move. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Really, I'd like to hear some more of your feedback about the last response I gave. I might not be the right person to ask. Frank says, I agree. Yeah. I'm waiting for a few more comments and then I'm going to sign off. If anybody else have any comments, post them real quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off because it's about that time. Well, again, I thank y'all for joining me tonight for this edition of Mocha Moments. I'm holding true. I'm going to see this challenge, this 30-day challenge, all the way out. But I'm also getting myself reacclimated to coming on here and sharing with you on a regular basis again. And y'all, thank you, those of you who have been joining me each and every night. Thank you for helping me to fulfill this challenge. And thank you for helping me to get reacclimated to coming back on regularly and sharing with you all. It hasn't been real easy readjusting and getting back used to doing this, but because of you, the wonderful people that you are, and I'm saying that so sincerely, because of you, this has started to make this whole thing much easier for me. And I greatly appreciate it. Frank says, I remember when you brought Julie McAllister. Lady couldn't sing, but she was a model worshiper. Yeah. I remember that too. I know exactly what you were referring to, what you are referring to. And she did something very interesting with that lady, according to what she shared with us. Very tactful, very strategic, demonstrated all kinds of wisdom. Yeah. So again, y'all, as I said, thank you again. Look forward to being with you tomorrow evening around this time, or maybe just a little bit earlier. It depends on how my day goes tomorrow. But if you have those notifications turned on to notify you whenever I come on, you'll be able to join me quick, fast, and in a hurry. Well, until then, I'm going to say to you and sign off like I always sign out by saying to you, God bless and good night.